Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Live Webinar Wednesdays, coming at you on every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome. My name is Cheston Bolgen with By the Books Consulting, your accounting superhero. Happy New Year. Good to be with you today. I'm hoping that everybody enjoyed their new year and they're prepared for this year. I know we're doing some pretty exciting things here at By the Books Consulting. Every single year, we look at how to deliver more value, more service, more accountability to the people that we work with. And I'm definitely excited about what 2024 has in store for us as a company, as a pillar for the people that we work with, and looking to extend that to so many other entrepreneurs this year in 2024. I am excited is what I want to say. So welcome to Business Mastery Live Webinar Wednesdays. Just want to get started with a quick disclaimer first and foremost. The following is for educational purposes and not considered to be financial, accounting, or legal advice. Please consult with your tax, accounting, and or legal professional for specific advice. All right, so we're going to be going over some things today to really get you geared up. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you want to be ready for tax season. Now is the time to make sure everything is tightened up for 2023 so that there's nothing holding you back moving forward in 2024, okay? A lot of times this can be a stressful time of year for a lot of entrepreneurs. No one likes to really deal with the compliance aspect of business. Like that seems like it's a worry, it's a stress, it's a concern, right? And it can be overwhelming. At the same time, it doesn't have to be, okay? It can be something where you have a process every single year. You know exactly what to do. There's nothing that you can't go through seamlessly throughout this process to make sure that you're set up for a win in this area of your business. And really, this area of business is so important to be able to have that level of mastery inside of what you do. No matter what it is that you do in terms of business, you want to have this aspect of it put together, because when you do, it frees up your energy to be able to go full force, full ahead into those areas of business, which you never even saw possible. Okay. A lot of this can be a weighing down effect on some entrepreneurs because it's like, man, I don't want to have to owe a lot of money come tax time. I don't know if I have everything together. I don't know exactly what to do. What if I'm missing something, right, inside of this process? So don't worry about it, man. And just the way that we cure this issue of concern and overwhelm for entrepreneurs and business owners when it comes to taxes is to just make sure you're educated, make sure you're working with somebody who has your back in this area too, and that you can lean on to have that confidence that you're doing things by the book. Okay. All right, guys. So I want to really share with you today. Boom. Just some of those things that you want to really get understood. You want to have this understood for 2024, especially these next 3 to 4 months into the year as you're preparing for taxes. January is a big month for those of you who have employees, those of you who enlist contractors to help you do the service that you provide. And number one, you want to make sure you have all the documentation ready to go for the deadline, which is January 31st. You want to make sure everybody gets what they need before the end of the month. Okay. Number two, there's new laws in effect. Like if you're starting a business today, well, you want to make sure you have that beneficial ownership information reporting filed in a timely fashion, or you will suffer major consequences in terms of penalties, like $500 per day in penalties, and potentially like prison, jail time. Okay. So you want to make sure you have those things put together right now. Okay. So we're getting ready for tax season 2024, how business owners can prepare. All right, so I want to put together a couple of things for you guys to really give you the confidence and kind of the step-by-step process that you need um, to make sure you're compliant and make sure this is not going to hold you up in business. So what are you going to organize here? All right, so we're going to put this together for you right now. Right now, and just like the first week of January, today's January 3rd, 2024. And really, if we're going to look at the things that you and I would want to prepare for tax season, write down. The main thing is, okay, number one, financials. We'll start getting ready to close out 2023. All right. So close out 2023. And this is going to serve to, be confident with where you stand when it comes to taxes. So what do I mean by that? So like a lot of the times there's confusion about whether or not we did what we did performance-wise, which is net profit, right? What was the net profit of the business? And depending on how you're structured, well, that's going to leave you with some sort of tax liability. Okay, if you're a sole proprietor, then that bottom line number is going to impact you in terms of self-employment tax, that number one, then ordinary income tax, number two, then you have your state taxes that you need to pay on that net income if you're a sole proprietor. So I was talking with one of our people the other day, and he hasn't been really working with us to do tax planning or tax strategy. And there's been an issue with just getting these numbers straight on a basic compliance level, right? So to bring that like kind of full circle, they have not really been diligent about mastering the money flow of the business. They're just doing things all kinds of ways, like inside of the business, where they just pay people and pay for ordinary business expenses with personal funds, business funds. They have, and at first they had, almost 19 different business accounts. Then they have another business with a whole another series of accounts. Then they have their personal credit cards and their personal accounts. And there's no rhyme or reason to the way that the money flows, right? It's just however you can get it is how it's going to get it to make sure the business moves forward, all right? And as a business owner, I really do get the fact that we need to go out here every single day and make sure that we do the things like expense-wise, cash flow-wise, that'll make sure we have what we need to provide our products and services and also take care of the people who will work with us. All right, so that's a given. We want to do those things, and it wants to be in a way where it's systematic. All right, so that we can measure what's happening in the business, and we can measure those things that are happening in the business. There are new actions that we can take to improve upon how we've been doing things up until now. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, we'll be able to see exactly where we stand when it comes to these things like taxes. Okay, so it makes it difficult. So to kind of bring this in, like he doesn't really know. Like we're still looking at, okay, where was all the other expenses? Where did you actually have money going out to other things that we just don't see right now? Right, it becomes challenging to put that bottom line number to a point of accuracy or make that number accurate when we don't have those systems in place to track the financials in a way that delivers that accuracy all year long. So consequence, he's looking at, $70,000+ maybe in a tax bill if we don't figure out where his expenses go. He knows he did not make all that money necessarily because he has, he feels the burden of paying for expenses for his business out of his own personal funds, right? But how does he track it? Well, that's a different story. He's not really tracking. He's just going through life doing what he does, and there's an impact to that. Okay, now, I'll say this: like number one, we're going to get him straight. Okay, I know that. We're going to make sure he's good to go. We're going to find out everything, make sure that we pull in all the expenses, and get clarity on where he stands. And it doesn't have to take all that, really, to deliver that clarity and that accuracy. Really, it becomes simple if we have the systems together all year long. I want to stay here for a moment in this conversation because some people don't really get it. I was on a conversation with somebody a week ago, right before the new year, and we were talking about the opportunity that it is to increase the amount of money that they get to keep at the end of the year, right? And really, the opportunity is going to be in um, mastering the measurement of the business in terms of understanding the number story, like down to the penny. Like, where is the money flow going? Where's it coming in from? Where's it going out to? Who do I owe? Who owes me? What do we? How many assets do we have in the books? Like, what are these assets doing in terms of performing and giving me a return on those, the investment that we put into the asset, right? So right now, I mean, their systems are improved upon where they were, and there's a way that can be even more efficient than what it is. There's a resistance, and I see this resistance with a lot of business owners, the resistance to creating the control processes inside of the accounting of the business. And when there's resistance to having the control processes, and the control processes basically mean there's a methodology to how money flows in and out of the business. We honor that methodology. We have integrity in the system so that we know when money is coming into the business and when money is going out of that business. So if I'm out here as a business owner and I'm in the field and I say, okay, well, we need to get fuel for our vehicles, I'm just going to pull out my own personal cash and pay for the fuel. Well, then we're losing some opportunity there. There's a whole lot inside of that I can see that would cause that company to lose out, because that simple like petri dish or like little sample of DNA inside of behavior indicates that there's loss. Now, this company that I'm talking about, they've done nearly $20 million in revenue, right? And right there, I can see an opportunity that they could actually save probably about between between 5 and 7% inside of those particular behaviors. That's typically how that goes. Because they don't have a process to say, okay, well, we only use fuel cards, right? And we track these fuel cards per vehicle, per unit that we have on the fleet. And we know that we tell these drivers, we have a protocol for the drivers to go to these specific fuel stops to fuel. And they do it this time during the week so that we ensure maximum efficiency for our fuel spend, right? So those are the things. And then on the card, we want to know that we're only spending it on those things, fuel and maybe maintenance on that fuel card, right? And we can track it down to who's actually using the card and when. And then we can look at, well, how much is it that this particular driver is costing me? Why is this driver costing me more than the other drivers? Or conversely, well, how is this driver able to actually cost me less in fuel, right? I can start to ask those questions throughout the year if I have that specific control process in place, right? Now, I'm getting a little off the subject, but I want to bring this to the light because a lot of us business owners, we think that it's not really important to manage these finances in a way where we have a complete control process in play. Right? We can kind of let it slide here and there. No, man, you don't let it slide here and there. If you have that mentality, then you're just like, it's like throwing money in the trash, throwing it in the trash. And maybe you feel as though you're doing well. It's like, I can afford to throw money in the trash, but who really wants to do that? Nobody. We all want to do well inside of business. So have those processes in place and take that seriously. Because I guarantee if you don't have these control processes, if you don't take it seriously inside of the financial track and reporting, and even if you don't know like how to read those numbers, like what I said was like, okay, 7 to 10% or 5 to 7% is like the potentiality for a loss there of net income. If you don't understand like how that comes about, well, then work with somebody who does and lean on them for insight to be able to make those choices and build those systems so that you have a way to keep more of your money, right? So to bring this back into like what it means to Be confident inside of like where you stand for taxes. You want to know that net operating income, right? What is that bottom line number that you made? And how does that relate to the structure that you have inside of your business? Like how are you set up, right? If you're sole proprietor, you're going to be dealing with extra taxes if you're making a good amount of money. This one client that I have, he's getting, like I mentioned him earlier, he's just getting those areas of business straight just now to be able to understand what the profitability is of his business, right? We're pulling all those pieces together. And man, there's a $70,000 potential in taxes because, well, we didn't plan throughout 2023. But guess what? Moving forward, we get the plan now. We'll make sure we're going to keep more of this money in our pocket, right? So yeah, number one, be confident in where you stand. Make sure those final numbers are what they need to be for your business financially for 2023. If you're not cleaned up, you want to get with somebody who can clean it up and do it pretty fast so you know. You don't want to walk around because there are deadlines coming up, guys. There are deadlines for partnerships and S corps. They're coming up for in March, right? So then they're first and foremost. So you don't want to wait too long because it may take a while to get all the activity cleaned up if you haven't been tracking this all year long for your business, right? And then maybe you want to have a choice now to say, okay, well, if I haven't really had somebody on my team to manage the books so that we know where we stand and the numbers make sense, well, you want to start working with somebody on a regular basis to know that, because in 2024, if you want to have a breakout year or standout year, you want to have these processes in place so that you can make some really great pivots throughout the year to take your business to those next levels. Okay. So be confident in where you stand with your finances, like your numbers, your financial net profit for 2023. That's first and foremost. Whatever it takes to do that, get that squared away so that you know how much profit did you have. That number is going to give you your tax liability, right? Amongst other things, it's going to provide you insight in terms of how much taxes you may owe. Okay. Number two, employees, right? And contractors. So here we're talking about really W-2s and 1099s. So if you have employees, the deadline is January 31st. Everybody who works for you, whether it's an employee or a subcontractor or a contractor who gets a 1099, they need to have this material to them by January 31st or before. Okay. So you want to have this information together. So a lot of businesses, man, they're good with this. They have their systems and processes together to where, okay, we've been tracking this all year. We know who we paid out. We're ready to go. January 1st, we're already starting the process of getting out all these 1099s and W-2s. We work with a lot of clients that we're good with that. We have those processes in place. And then there are some businesses who don't really have these processes locked down. And what that looks like is, well, we don't have the W-9 information for our 1099 people. Like we're just paying people cash, Zelle, all these other methods. We're giving cash advances. Some of our companies give cash advances and don't have a really good way to track it to the payroll. Like we've advanced them, but we just don't know how much they owe us. And there's kind of a guessing game. And we maybe write it down here somewhere, but it's not organized to the point to where we know exactly how much we're paying these people. Right. So we want to have those numbers specific inside of your business processes so that we have these compliance documents put together, like your 1099s, your W-2s. Right. Some people don't onboard. Like I said, they don't onboard their contractors in an appropriate way. So they don't send out those documents for them to fill out to have their tax ID number, whether that's going to be for a company that there's a contractor working for you and they have their own company like an LLC and you're paying them as a contractor, whether that's having that tax ID number, their address, their contact details, their email address, all those things that we would need in order to issue them their 1099. And for your W-2 employees, man, sometimes they're missing details in the onboarding process. And, and it messes up the employees. Why? Because all year long, they've been reporting that maybe they're a single filer when they're in fact, married, filing joint, and they're reporting that they have children and they don't, right? They have exemptions and they don't, right? So we want to make sure that all those details are accurate on the onboarding process so that at the end of the year, or this time, beginning of 2024, all the W-2s are accurate and ready to file before January 31st. Okay. So those are some of the things we want to make sure we have together to ensure that we're compliant. Right. The sooner that we're able to get this out, the better, guys. Like I don't like to play around with W-2s. I like to get them out now, so that people can go ahead and file their tax return. A lot of employees, they're getting refunds for their taxes. They need that refund money after the holidays, and things like this hold those employees up. Now, what would you be like as an employer that was able to have this process done so efficiently that you get these out by the first week of January? Boom. Like, who wouldn't want to keep working with you, right? Because you have all the stuff ready. They don't have to deal with any drama. Like, you just have your stuff together, right? All the final numbers are what they need to be because you've been doing such a great job all year long of tracking this, and it's just ready to go, right? And you can get it out by that second week of January, and these guys can go ahead and start filing their taxes, right? Fantastic. Okay. All right. So once we have our financials together and we're getting this information out, like depending on your structure, there are still some opportunities to save on taxes, tax saving strategies. You want to identify the strategies that you can utilize still, even after the 31st of December, right now, to lower your tax liability. Okay, a lot of that deals with being able to still contribute to your retirement. Right? If you have a considerable amount of money that you made, well, man, we profited a whole lot. Well, I don't want to. I'd rather pay myself than pay Uncle Sam. I'd rather fund my retirement than fund Uncle Sam. Right? So you have up until April 15th to actually contribute to your retirement in a lot of cases. Okay. So you want to have at least that one strategy in place to save on your taxes. And there are other things, guys, that we want to take a look at. Okay. But you want to have a comprehensive way to actually execute on saving in your taxes right now. All right. One of the other things that we want to consider, now I talked about this a little bit earlier, this the BOI, that's brand new. So this is the beneficial information. I think it's beneficial information ownership. It's a BOI. Information, the BOI. So that's that program, okay, that just came into effect this year. All right. So if you have a pre-existing business, if you're on this call right now, most likely you do, if you're live watching. Now, you have up until January of next year to file this. You do. My thoughts are get it done now, right? It's going to be open now for people to be able to file it. This is when it's officially open. So if you have the opportunity, most likely you will, you want to file this BOI with FinCEN, okay, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Agency. So you want to go to FinCEN website, fincen.org, FinCEN website. Okay. That's how you're going to report this. You want to make sure that the information you do report is completely accurate and up to date. Right? You don't want to put false information on here. You will need the company information and the if you're a sole proprietor, you'll need your information as the owner. You know, your specific ownership information. If you're an LLC, all the managing members of that LLC, you'll need their personal information to report on this form. If you're an S corp, you'll need all the shareholders that have more than 20% ownership of that S corp. You want to file that, or anybody who manages that company, who makes the day-to-day decisions, even those people would need to be on this beneficial ownership information report. All right, so you make sure that you do this by the letter, guys. All right, you want to take your time and get this thing right and get it done now. The best way to move life forward is to be in that now process. Get it done now, okay? All right, so these are a few things that we want to actually get together right now. I want to continue on this topic next week because we're moving into tax season. I want to make sure that 2024 is a successful year for you. That's what I want. So what does that look like for you? Now, if you're watching this video and you have some ideas on terms of like an intention, not necessarily a resolution for 2024, like a lot of people do resolutions. It's like, yes, man, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. Finally, I'm going to get that six pack. Or I'm going to take my business to the next level, right? And that's not enough. What's the intention for you this year in your business? And an intention is a future that you're living into, and it's measurable. We can actually know when it's out here in a reality. We can see it, we can taste it, we can touch it, and we know what it looks like. So for your business, like maybe you're taking your company, to that $50 million level. Like we've been hovering at like maybe 20 million, and we haven't been able to get beyond that for years. And maybe this year, like, hey, well, what would it look like to double that? What if we did 40 million? What would that look like? You can actually play a game, guys. The game pretty much sounds like, all right, let's do 40 million. We've done 20, and let's do 40. All right. Now we can play all out, play hard, and actually accomplish that, right? At least play the game all out to see where you get to inside that game, right? But that's more so of an intention for the year. Like if you say, okay, well, this year we're going to double our revenue. We're going to go from 20 million to 40 million, right? Well, that's the game worth playing, right? What do you need to do? Who do you need to be to deliver that, right? And then all these things right here that we're talking about, like there are a lot of gaps. If you're scrambling right now, putting these things together, there are a lot of gaps. And what I mean is that this wants to be complete throughout the year. Every single month, really, you want to close out the books to know where you stand. Every month is like a year, right? We don't want to wait until the end of a full calendar year or a fiscal year to put these together. No, we want to have this done every single period, which is a month. Now, this other thing is to be granular with the financial aspect of it. Well, what does it look like this week? What does it look like today? Do we perform? What do we do? What are our results? Right? And why? Why do we actually win here? What gave us winning in this game today? Right? And it really does come down to reviewing these things, guys, like the numbers. They never lie. Even when they're not there, they're still telling the story. They're telling the truth behind the curtains. We can see it. Okay. So I'm hoping that you guys are getting some value out of this conversation, that we gave you some tips to be able to get more confidence inside of like being organized and making sure you're compliant with these things. All right. So number one, you want to make sure your financials are in order for 2023. Whatever it takes to get them accurate so that you know where you stand, to get that done. Number two, be expeditious and accurate when filing your 1099s and W-2s for the people who work for you. Okay. Number three, tax saving strategies. Right now that I know where I stand and how much extra money that I made, can I actually save more on taxes by using some of these other strategies in place? And if you don't know them all, get on a conversation with me or a member of my team, and we'll walk you through what's available for you to still save for 2023. All right. And then right now we're looking at this BOI reporting, right? So now put that in your ear. Make sure you are on time and compliant with that. Don't wait until next year to do it in January. I would recommend you get it done sooner than later, right? When it's open, because it's open now, right? We can actually move into doing that and filing that with the FinCEN, okay? All right, guys, it's been great being with you. Have a great rest of your week. Happy New Year. See you next Wednesday. Take care.